Hey guys, it's Ashley with 3R Sales and Service. We're taking a look at an enclosed 24-foot trailer today. This is one of our truck washing trailers. It has a two-step system in here, along with two 5.5-gallon pressure washer systems. So we'll come in a little bit closer. We'll get a better look at everything from inside the trailer. Okay, so from the inside of the trailer, we have our first 5.5-gallon pressure washer. Both of these units here have Honda GX 630 engines with the TS series general pumps on them. So nice heavy duty units. They do have the 110 volt burners, so they get nice and hot for all year cleaning. This is going to be one that's a little further north in the States, so they'll have all seasons up here. We do have burner control on here, so you can operate it as a hot water system or as a cold water system. And there's also an auxiliary switch and a 110 volt outlet on the back of each one of these units, so you can plug in lights or any other smaller accessories if you need something powered up. Temperature control is available on these as well. And then we've got a little toolbox here just to kind of keep all of your spare parts and miscellaneous accessories in one spot with locking drawers so they won't open while you're driving. I'll switch spots here. Get you a better view for the rest of the trailer. So our second unit here, we have a 525-gallon water tank. On the other side of this is an additional 300-gallon tank that holds the rinse-free water. Both of these pressure washers are set up on cool bypass systems. So whenever you're operating and you're pulling the trigger, you have fresh water going through the pumps. When you let off the trigger, it's cycling water from your water tank to your pressure washer pump heads, keeping it nice and cool. So you don't have to worry about setting down the trigger gun and running back to turn off the machine to prevent it from overheating. You've got that protection system in place. We've also got bleeder valves on the pump heads, and what those do is get any air out of the incoming water line from the water tank. What happens is whenever you empty out your tank drain, you get air pockets in your incoming water lines, and that really makes it difficult to start up your pump when the engine is running. So if you get all that air out, you prime that pump head, nice easy startup. So we just try to prevent any issues while you're on site as much as we possibly can. For these pressure washers, they are diesel fired burners and they are gas engines. So you'll see two different fuel tanks here. And then on the tank itself, you can see this big PVC fitting that's behind me. This is our hydrant fill. So we have a 2-inch cam lock on the outside, and that forces the water up and over. And then we've got the air gap before it goes into the water tank. You just have to remove the tank lid whenever you're filling this way. And then at the bottom, we've got a 2-inch tank drain. So a very quick way to empty the water out of these tanks and to fill up the tanks when on site. Next to that is our T-strainer here. This actually filters the water before it goes into the water tank whenever you're using your garden hose reel. So there's a float valve under there. When you're using the garden hose reel, which is the more traditional way, then it'll actually cut off the water supply once the tank is full. And then as you're using that water, it'll continue to fill the tank. So you don't have to monitor your tank overfilling or running too low on water. We'll pause for a second here and we'll go around back and take a look at the remaining items. Okay, so from the back of the trailer, we have a better view of the hose reels. Up top is our window cleaning reel, or our RODI water. So that's going to feed from the 325-gallon tank, and you can use a wand to spray off the truck. If you have wheels that you're worried are going to get spotted, windshields, any of those kinds of things, you can do spot for your rinsing with that reel. And then hot water number 2 and hot water number 1. These are if you want to use the pressure washer hoses just as they are without using the 2-step assemblies. So our standard downstream injector, 200 feet of hose, and our regular gun wand assembly will work with both of these reels. And then at the bottom is 100 feet of our 3/4-inch garden hose, and this is what is supplying that 525-gallon water tank that had the float valve attached to it. These are all 12-volt rewind hose reels, so all you do is press this button and it will very quickly pull your hoses in for you. We've got locking connectors on all of these to keep it nice and secure for your hoses and then kind of give it a good clean look. And then we've got the hose guides on the pressure washer reels, making it very easy to pull your hoses at like a 90-degree angle from the back of the trailer. On the other side here, I'm going to have you switch over. So we have some valves on the side of the pressure reels. This is so that you can switch between using the standard pressure washer hose and switch over to our two-step hose assemblies. And the difference between those two is the two-step hose assembly is a pressure washer hose and two chemical hoses in one sleeve that is attached to a special two-step gun and wand assembly. And so those can't really be pulled in on a hose reel. They kind of have to be rolled and hung on a hook, which is how we have them here. I'll show you in just a second. But you can turn off. So this is in the off position right now. So you're not pulling any soap from your injector. And then this one is open so that you can use your two-step assembly. And when you want to use this, you would just turn this one off, open this one up, and so on and so forth between the two. So it just gives you the option to do different types of cleanings if you don't need to use the two-step system all the time. On the passenger side, we have two 55-gallon soap tanks for our Soap 1 and our Soap 2 products. And so the dip hoses on those two-step assemblies would just drop right down into those. They can use for different products if you didn't want to do the two-step washing, if you like this system, but you're thinking maybe I want to do it a little bit different. We'd put different types of products in these at all times. The soap injectors on the hose reel have long enough dip tubes to be able to reach either one of these if you only want to use one at a time, or to reach into any one of the tanks so they can be rinsed out properly. We'll go ahead and step inside and take a look at the RODI system and any other features from here. Okay, so we have our two-step hose assembly on these hooks here. We have an additional assembly over by the passenger side door. So this is a 100-foot section with an additional 10 to 15 feet of the chemical hose that can drop down into these tanks. It's connected to our two-step hose. Here, this is our standard wand assembly. Let me take this off here. And our two-step assembly has the option to pull both chemicals, and you can switch between your step 1 and step 2 very quickly when it's right at the end of the wand. That's the benefit of this, is just being able to switch back and forth quickly, so you're not waiting for your chemical to go through a 100-foot section of hose before you can switch back and forth between your products. So you can switch, and then you can also bypass it and just rinse. It's it looks complicated, but it's a much more simplified process whenever you're out there doing the washing. All right, and then the standard wand assembly when you don't want to use the two-step gun and wand. We'll move around to the other side here. Okay, so lastly, we're going to go over the RODI system, which is a reverse osmosis and deionizing system. The water from the garden hose reel comes in and it goes to this three-way valve. The valve will control whether it goes to the 525-gallon tank to fill for spraying through the pressure washers, or whether it diverts the water to the RODI system. That forced water goes through all these stages and then turns out as a rinse, a spot-free rinse, when it goes into the 325-gallon tank. So you can show up on site with all your spot-free water ready to go, and then just turn on the pump and you can quickly apply it with the hose that's on the window cleaning or the spot-free rinse hose reel. So it's more of a quicker way to get through the process so that you're not waiting on that person to just do the spot-free rinsing. You can quickly get through the pressure washing, the spot-free, and move on as the trailer goes down the line for whatever size fleet you're cleaning. Other than that, we do have all kinds of other options available for this. Sometimes we paint the interior of the trailers. It's all based on customer preference. We have custom flooring that we can put down as well. On this one, we did put some hooks in the tank, so if the customer wants to add other accessories like a surface cleaner, if they end up doing some jobs where they're on site and they want to get some flat work done, they can just secure a surface cleaner very quickly right here at the back of the trailer. So if you have any questions on this particular package, we'll have it on our website. It's 3rpressurewashers.com, or feel free to give us a call. Thanks.